Good morning, guys. So, on my way to the gym, and today you and I are going to talk about personal projects. Yes, let's talk about personal projects. So, now, I have long argued to nobody except myself, of course, because I'm the only person that I really talk to nowadays, aren't I? Well, you know, and whoever is watching these silly little videos of mine. But I've long argued that one of the best, or rather my favorite way of acquiring new skills as a software developer is to have small personal projects, or weekend projects is what I like to call them. And basically the idea is that you simply sit down with a piece of technology or something that you're interested, or something that you feel like, oh, this could be fun. Let's try this. Let's see if I can build this thing. Doesn't have to be a big thing. I actually encourage, or rather, I actively avoid getting into projects that are too big. Now, I absolutely think that you should have at least one really big project that you work on for an extended period of time. Like I have a startup, for example, which I've been working on for several years. And the thing about that is that when you have such a long-running project, that's a very different experience from having these tiny little nothing projects that you build just because they're fun. But those are the fuel. These tiny small fun projects, these are the fuel projects that I use in order to keep on being encouraged and passionate and wanting to improve myself. And it's actually funny because it's so rare where it's actually, you don't underestimate it. It's actually kind of tricky to figure out these tiny little projects that are perfectly bite-sized, so that they take roughly a weekend or two to complete, and they provide you some measurement of enjoyment. And what's funny is that these videos that I've started to make are actually helping a lot with that. I have several small videos and tutorials where I build something small and basically share it with you guys, and hopefully I can inspire you to start doing this yourself, because it's the hands down the best way to get real experience working with something. Now, the idea, as I've said, is just to ask yourself, okay, what would I enjoy building? Something that would make your life a little bit nicer or happier. I'll give you a perfect example. I made a browser plugin, a Chrome extension plugin, just for basically shits and giggles. And it was a nothing project. I just thought that, hey, it could be kind of cool to figure out how, the people who do professional development for Chrome extensions and like these applications, like how do they do it? So I sat down a weekend, decided, hey, I want to be able to chain JavaScript executions on different web pages so that I can run scripts basically create a flow of events that's going to happen over a set of web pages. So that basically you can, on page one, have your JavaScript click on some elements or a link or something, and then it goes to the next page. When you hit that page, you execute the next part of the script, and so forth and so forth. It's a silly little nothing project that is not aimed towards, becoming something or being something that I'll make money of. It's just for me, because I thought it was interesting. And it took me, I think, 2 weekends or 3 to get it from something like a silly little idea to actually being on the App Store for Google Chrome. And virtually, I actually found a lot of enjoyment. I learned a lot from doing that. I basically experienced everything from researching how these things were done up until I actually released the thing to the public. And that's it. There was no more. There were no more ambitions than apart from that. And then I have like silly little open source project that I designed and created for myself and shared them. And I actually found there's actually a few people who are using these projects, even though they weren't really designed to do so. And the two biggest benefits to having this mindset that to not go big, because I think that the biggest problem with a lot of people who sit down and want to build something is that they go too big. It happened to me at the university. I remember it so well. One of my classmates, we had a hand in where we were supposed to build a computer game in Java. and he had been playing, I think it's named Mud or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's a completely text-based RPG game, online RPG game, where everything is you know, based on text basically. And he had been playing it for years and years and years. He loved it, and he sat down and he said, "I'm going to build something like it." And I said, "Well, okay. I think that's going to be a fun project for you, but it's going to be pretty big." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah, no, okay, I'll still try it." And he tried. He had a few weeks to do this, and he failed absolutely miserably. And he did so because the project, I mean, that game is massive. Like it's, and I kind of knew that even back in those days, that's kind of big. It's the same idea that a lot of, like half of my class were people who wanted to build something like Angry Birds, and I'm gonna tell you, like, building Angry Birds, it's too big, guys. It's way too big. That's a massive project. It's a small app in your perspective, but it's a big project. It's gonna take a lot of time to build something like that. What I want you to take away from this little rant of mine is that a small weekend project is usually playing around with something, just learning a basic concept. One of my favorites, like I have a few videos coming out about using Puppeteer to do screen scraping and things of that nature. That's a weekend project. Learning a single little library, a single little tool to do something that gives you a little bit of enjoyment in your everyday, or rather helps you out with some small everyday task. That's a weekend project. Building Angry Birds, that's not a weekend project. It's much bigger than that. And yeah, you know, if you want to do it, absolutely do it. But trust me, I've found that when you have a lot of small projects, what's very powerful, I've argued this for a long time. I think that when it comes in terms of acquiring knowledge and insight and becoming experienced, it's much more efficient to have, having many small projects, because you're going to fuck up, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have issues and so forth. And if the project is very small, you will take a small piece of learning from that project, and since it's so small, you'll not invest in it much more, and then you'll move on to the next project, and you will acquire knowledge much quicker. And as I said, just remember, it's actually very beneficial to have at least one really big project that spans like months, if not years, just because the experiences, you will learn so much from having one of those larger projects, because it's basically, it's a different journey. I think that the ratio is very good the ratio should be one big project, or like your own company or something like that, and every other weekend you build something very small just to play around with things that you are curious about. That's at least that I try to do these things, and it gives me endless enjoyment. It's as I said earlier, it's the thing that makes me excited for the weekend. It's the fuel that drives me to acquire more knowledge and try out new things, and hopefully you'll feel the same. So I encourage you, play around with these tiny weekend projects. They're a great deal of fun.